and Sri, I'm going to cut to the force of your essay on consumer banking at Goldman Sachs. Is it Marcus by David Solomon? How much is their leader attached to this consumer project?
Well, he's certainly vowed to stay the course, and this is a pet project that he has embraced, and he wants to go the course. But inside and outside questions are being raised on the execution of this strategy. Since inception, we're talking about losses set to hit more than $4 billion through the end of this year. That is effectively a giant money-losing startup inside the bank, subsidized by its more successful operations in trading and banking and elsewhere. And as you don't see a turnaround anytime soon, patience will start to wear thin, and you are starting to see that inside the firm. And the latest example of this is another possible delay with the launch of the checking account, which has been delayed for over a year anyway, and just one of a series of issues that the unit has been hit by in recent months.
Sri, the heart and soul of this, in any number of books, Goldman Sachs has always been a ferment of partnership debate. Is everyone on the same page here, or is this a heated debate within the firm?
No, absolutely not. It would be impossible to say with a straight face that everyone inside the firm is on the same page with respect to consumer. When you have a unit, when you have this new project that's lost so much money, questions will be asked like, is the lagging stock prices, the fact that they've not really been made a jump with respect to our rivals, Morgan Stanley, or even JP Morgan for that matter, because of the fact that they were too reliant on their core Wall Street activities that have always been discounted by shareholders? Or is there some reason for us to look at projects like this where you're losing a lot of money, where you don't have the expertise, and you still have to wait quite a bit longer to get to the David Solomon I told you so moment?
Sri, let's take a step back for a second. Goldman Sachs made a very public foray into the consumer banking sector for years. A lot of people were wondering how it would really transform the bank. Now there is a pause to one major aspect of this rollout. At what point is this because of competition? At what point is this because of something specific to the moment that they tried to get into consumer banking?
I think it's a little bit of the moment and also a lot to do with their execution. They have had forecasts, they had hoped to be able to break even in this whole unit by this year. That's not happening. It doesn't even look like that's going to happen next year. They've stopped giving forecasts. They were transparent about all these numbers in the early years when they were losing $1 billion through inception. Their CFO was very happy to get on a call and tell investors and analysts that, because they wanted to make sure that they were held accountable and be clear to the market that they recognize the losses up front, but they see that as an investment that will pay off. But as the losses continue to become deeper and it isn't clear when the inflection point comes, it becomes a little bit of a sore point. And that's why I say it's not just the fact that we're heading into a challenging economy or a possible difficult market for consumers. It is also to do with the execution of this unit inside a firm that really is known all over the world for its core Wall Street prowess.
So, Sri, and just sort of to elaborate on this, because a lot of people will take this news that they're possibly delaying the rollout of checking accounts and say, well, what does this mean for other big banks in terms of their consumer units, especially given how much they tried to expand in those areas? Are you saying that this is an idiosyncratic story built out of an ambition that came at the wrong time and executed poorly? Or are you saying that this is something that we might see the nodes of in other big investment banks?
I think what we've seen with at least the larger mass market, the bigger consumer banks, is any sort of issues that they have in one segment of the market, they're able to offset it in other facts. The fact that you are in a rising rate environment means that you have the big banks and the JP Morgan and the BofAs happy with the increasing net interest income. They can adjust their tools and pull different levers to make sure that no one issue is going to stand out as a big hurdle. For Goldman, that is not necessarily the case. It is very much a show-me story right now, and because there is so much scrutiny and so much focus on where costs are going in that business, I think they feel the pressure to need to thread the needle and execute perfectly here.
Sri, you and Jenny, very quickly here, you and Jenny kill it at the bottom of this essay in talking about it takes $500 to acquire an account, and even with that, they lose 15% of their accounts per year. Why do they want to do this? Why do they want to compete with Fortress Diamond or Fortress Moynihan?
Well, now that Goldman has decided to have this consumer finance arm, their CEO has always been of the opinion that you can't just go there and offer lending products and saving products and investing products without building that primary relationship with the consumer, which he sees as a checking account, and perhaps rightfully so. Your paycheck goes in there. You can easily pay off your bills. That is sort of the gateway to a lot more products, but it has become much harder. And truth be told, even if you have to think about other products, banks have become very good at targeting consumers that you don't necessarily need to rely on a massive checking footprint to be able to achieve that. And the numbers clearly show that. And part of the discussion inside Goldman is when you have to spend something like $500 per customer to lure them to open a checking account with you, and you're aiming to have millions and millions of customers, that cost can quickly ramp up. And that is one of the reasons why the leadership in there and sitting and praying and thinking these things over right now.